Hey everybody, day 46, Saturday 27th of June. Back on my old phone. There was a couple of little silences in yesterday's talk, so I apologise for that. And I thought before we move on, just at this point, we'll have a quick overview of the church through the 20th century. Just because we're talking about spiritual things, and the 20th century started with the Pentecostal movement, the Pentecostal spiritual movement. Prior to that, I think it's people just talking to one another and saying what they think about things, and then all trying to disagree about something. So never having much unity, and the divisions of the the Catholics and the Protestants, and then other people, Baptists and Methodists and all sorts of things have gone on and divided. So a quick overview of that. So as I said, the Pentecostal movement, which was the spiritual people, broke out in the early 1900s and spread around the world. Got taken around the world, and included into that would be individuals, not so much in churches, but individuals becoming big names for doing miracles. So they would have miracle meetings, and there was some people doing proper miracles, really, raising the dead and getting out of your wheelchair and throwing your sticks away and things like that. Significant to those would be Smith Wigglesworth, who died in the same year that I was born. I wanted to inherit his anointing, but I haven't. So he was incredible. He would start his meeting by asking who's the sickest person here, and then they'd heal that one and he'd get everybody's attention, and then lots. But he was a character. Catch these guys on find out about them on YouTube. And a lady called Catherine Kuhlman. She was once again a slightly in your face, but a bit like me, maybe in your face, but yet. She just had these miracle service. People travelled all over the country to come to her meetings, and they came in their floods and got healed in their droves. That was like the 30s and 40s, I guess. And then rising, in that time was big name evangelists. So they'd have big name evangelists. So the most famous of those would be Billy Graham. You've probably heard of Billy Graham. He was filling Manchester City football stadium, when I was 12, something like that. And he's only recently died, but he would be all around the world preaching the gospel, and in football stadiums with hundreds and hundreds of people coming forward to give their lives to Christ under his ministry. Same as again a guy called Reinhard Bonnke. He felt he had a ministry to Africa. So he's been preaching all over Africa for these last 50 years. Millions and millions of people, hundreds of thousands of people would turn out for his meetings. And there was that, if they counted up over the things, they talk in terms of millions of people that he's he's educated about Jesus, believing in Jesus. So that's Reinhard Bonnke, and he's just recently died also. So those two great names have just passed away recently. In the 50s, what they call a charismatic movement arose. So more people across more churches and more places up and down the nation were catching on to the spiritual aspect of things and coming out of normal churches, and then that led into the house group meetings. So lots and lots of people started off new churches in house groups. That's what I mentioned before. In the 60s and 70s, they would be prominent. And then, of course, we talked about, and that movement went around the world. And I'm thinking about global movements, you see. So John Wimber came, and John Wimber went all around the world with his message. And alongside John Wimber would be other people doing this kind of thing also. We started to go to summer holidays, camping, holidays at that time. They'd have a big top. And there's a guy called Mahesh Shavda. He turned up a bit like a Wimber service. There'd be 5,000 people in the audience when he was preaching. And the first time I saw him, he did his talk, and then he did different. He just stood up and he said, "There's somebody here with this. The Lord's healing you." There's somebody here with this, the Lord's healing you. There's somebody here with this, the Lord's healing you. And he went on like that for about half an hour. And I just started thinking, Lord, if this man's not from you, shut him up, because this is an insult. If these people aren't being healed and he's saying they are. And just 2 minutes after I'd prayed that prayer, he stopped talking and he said, okay, if you've been healed, come forward and tell us about it. You know. And so for the next hour and a half, people kept coming forward and sharing how they'd been healed. The most beautiful one was a young boy, maybe 12 or something like that, 11 or 12, came forward. And he said, I had dyslexia and I can, and I've been healed of dyslexia. So he said, well, how did you know? He said, well, I was looking at the hymn book and I couldn't read it. And then I could. So he said, well, what were you reading? And he read the hymn, nothing is impossible with God. Nothing, absolutely nothing. Nothing is impossible with God. So the audience erupted with that. But there was, people really, man with a bad back picked the guy up and he was sort of 18-stone chap fella. And the bloke had a bad back, he'd been outside, he'd had a run, it were okay, and he came and said, I'm healed, and picked him up. I have a few more things here on my list that I've run out of time. So I'll carry on this list on Monday. And then we'll think there's this thing called the Toronto Blessing on here. So that's the biggest thing. Once and again, another global movement of what's going on. So we'll do that. I'll finish this list and we'll do that on Monday. Okay. And I'm using my old phone. I've got sent the new one back. It's had a new camera and it's having a new voice thing. I hope to get that on Monday. Have a nice weekend, everybody. God bless. Bye.